What are your thoughts on rent? Taking out all the political nonsense from blue states and rent control advocates and all kinds of goofy morons, but in the real world of a free market system where common sense prevails, where do you see rents? Like when you're buying a park at $1,000 rent, where do you think rents are going over the next 5 to 10 years? Would you say?
So what we're doing now is a deep dive in multifamily rents in our given markets that we're looking at acquiring deals in. And when you get to that, call it like a 2 or 3 bedroom average, because you can't base everything off of a 1 bedroom, because a lot of our communities are 2+ bedrooms in the home stock that's there. And so we'll look at more like a blended average of multi in the same neighborhood, and then kind of look at a little bit broader market study. And then we're now pushing to like 60% as like a quick rule of thumb. 50% used to be the old rule, where it was like, let's say it's a $2,000 average market rent for multi. So then you can quickly go, okay, 1,000 should be in the realm, Well, if you run a clean community that has newer home stock, or you're completely, really making it a heck of a lot more livable and higher quality, just on the signage, the roads, the normal stuff, no crazy stuff. But like if there's a clubhouse, we do open it up and make it a space that's nice. If there's a pool, we'll put the newer furniture and clean it up and make it nice again. But we're spending, maybe a couple of $200,000-300 grand on clubhouses. It's not like absurd on a $10 million plus asset. We're now nudging into 60-65% of multifamily rents in a given market, and we're not having pushback. In fact, when we go in and clean up the operations and any inventory, we paint it, skirt it, make it clean. Any new inventory we bring in is obviously new, so it helps the whole look and feel of the community. We're ending up increasing the mobile home values of those communities, even driving the rents. So, and I'd say pushing rents to what is the market rent where the people will pay for it. Back to your point, something is worth what a given buyer or a resident will pay for it. That's market.
Right.
And so,
And let me ask you this: why are we relegated to being less than apartments? Let me ask you that.
So I'd say
I assume probably 80% of your customers are probably already on their homes free and clear, right? I mean, that's kind of, in most cases, all your 80s homes are free and clear, 90s are free and clear. Only guys you got in there that are not free and clear are guys you put on 30-year mortgages, which you couldn't even do until maybe 10 years ago on new homes. So if you're living in one of Blake's parks, right? And you own your house free and clear, he's made it all nice, got the clubhouse, the entry's pretty, the whole deal. As an industry, why do we have to be less than apartments? Those apartments are skanky. They're not nice. You're stuck with your neighbors knocking on your wall. You got to use, you can't park by your door. You don't have a yard. Do you think it's fair for our industry to have to be at a deep dish discount? I mean, you're saying now you're going from 50% to 60%, but do we have to stop at 60%? I'm just playing devil's advocate,
I love it.
Thinking outside the box. I don't know anyone who likes apartments more than mobile home parks, but as an industry, we always have this inferiority complex, like we got to be cheap. Even though our product sometimes is better, we still think it has to be cheap. What are your thoughts on that?
I have so many thoughts. And so this is I'd say my internal battle with our team, but I will argue both sides of it. The key is location of the asset and that particular demand and the home stock that's there. So I'll give you an example. In Tucson, as a lesser quality, I'd say economically, the fire isn't burning as bright there as Phoenix. Tucson to Phoenix, the economic engine just isn't running to the same degree, and so we have no problem moving almost any inventory in Phoenix. But where you bump up, where we're bumping up into the 60% of multi in Tucson, we start getting homes. And you actually do have this, we have nudged up against the point where people start to move based on the fact that that old home isn't worth enough for them to continue to pour money into it. And so we end up doing a program where we give them a, something for the title. And that's the threshold. In my opinion, that's where the threshold should be. So like if you go back up to Phoenix, I'll argue the capitalist side, it's worth what somebody will pay for it. If I'm 100% occupied, I should be pushing, on a capitalistic argument. And it's like, until you're dealing with some type of turnover, like multi, I operate some apartments too. So I have that, as another background piece of data. You would always run your apartment deal to like 95 to 97% occupancy. You'd never operate it at 100, because if you're operating at 100, you know that there's money left on the table. And so you just keep driving. And so that's why I'd say we're particularly so focused on certain markets now, is we know on one market we can drive and push and sell brand new homes at break even or a small profit. Let's call it just break even plus the team's commission to sell it. Versus in Tucson, we're probably having to, provide some subsidy to those homes brand new in order to move them at the space rent that we're trying to capture. And so we've played all sides of this. And I'd say you go into really strong, vibrant economic markets, those are going to be far superior. And I think that you could probably push, into the 70, 80%, especially with a nice quality asset, big roads, nice parking, nice clubhouse, etc.